Hey, what's up everybody? This is Steve with Through the Leash Dog Behavior and Training. And today I wanted to take a little time out to talk about our approach as well as our philosophy when it comes to training dogs as well as people. I think it's important when you decide to work with a company in training your dog that you understand where they're coming from with their approach, as well as what their thoughts are about dog behavior, as well as effective ways to train them. And one thing that I really want to highlight is that through the leash, we really focus on training the human being. That's our main focus, and dogs get trained in the process. If we can train a dog, but we can't train a human, then what's it worth? It's not really worth much. So our focus is always going to be on that human being and teaching them how to communicate with their dog properly in order to build a long-lasting, trusting relationship with their dogs. It doesn't matter what part of the country you're living in or what country you're living in. Dogs don't speak that language, that spoken language that we speak. So they don't speak English, they don't speak Spanish, they don't speak Italian, or any of that. They primarily communicate through body language and touch. So we have to figure out a way to effectively communicate with them in order to steer them and direct them in the right path and teach them what it is that we want. I think where some of the issues lie is that immediately when we get a dog, whether it's a puppy or a rescue or a senior dog or whatever it is we start to humanize them right from the get-go. We give them a name. We sometimes feed them table scraps or human food. We miscommunicate a lot of things when they're necessarily maybe doing something that we don't want. Let's say your dog is showing aggression and we're trying to soothe them. We're thinking we're helping out and teaching them, no, we don't want you to do that, but in reality we're just reinforcing whatever behavior it is that they're doing at the time. And commonly, I see it all the time, and I'm sure you guys see it all the time or experience it. Our dog is pulling us around on a walk, deciding where we go, when we stop, what they smell. They're making all the decisions. So when we humanize them and we do these things, we cause confusion. And when our dogs are confused, we don't necessarily get the outcome that we want. So we have to focus on communicating with them in a way that they can naturally understand. They're pack animals, right? No matter how big or small your pack is, somebody has to make the decision. And it's not who's the biggest, baddest, most dominant, alpha, all that kind of stuff that you hear out there. That has nothing to do with it. Dogs truly decide who a leader is based on consistency, based on fairness, based on firmness. That's who they're going to look at for direction. Somebody that they can trust, somebody that's predictable, somebody that's fair, somebody that's not going to put them in harm's way. So the reasons that many of our dogs, our own dogs or our family members' dogs or friends' dogs, make poor decisions sometimes and do things that we don't want is because we have not been able to effectively communicate with them in a way that they naturally understand. So they don't know what we are expecting. They don't know what we want. And then they make their own decisions and try to figure out from there whether it was the right decision or not. So we have to begin to communicate with them in a way that's consistent, in a way that is fair, and a way that is understood through their language. I mean, to bridge that communication gap, we use our leash and our collar. It's very important. It's an amazing tool to begin to start express exactly what it is we want from them and show them where we want them and what we want them to do. So it's important, and what we focus on is teaching people how to use their leash, how to articulate with their leash, how to use proper time motivation, proper time praise, other nonverbal cues to express exactly what it is we want. And they will begin to follow. They will look at you as a leader and they will follow. Most dogs do want to follow along. They just need to trust that we can keep them safe and understand exactly what it is that we're asking. I mean, we know this. I mean, hopefully everybody in the world knows this. We know it's not the case, but dogs do not learn from punishment. We don't need you hitting your dogs. We don't need you even yelling at your dogs. We don't need you throwing things at your dogs. At the same time, we don't want to bribe them, so we don't have to say, hey, look what I have, do what I want, because then you're going to get this. We want them to perform, the basics or whatever obedience or requests that we have based on the relationship that we have built with them through trust and communication. So everything that we focus on is teaching you how to communicate with your dog in a way that they understand. And it makes sense. And they don't understand the words until we begin to show and teach them what movements that we want and what words accompany that, or what sound comes out of our mouth that accompanies that. Dogs are amazing animals, and they learn very quickly. Human beings want to treat dogs as if they're humans and communicate with them in that way, and that's just not going to be effective. So that's our focus, that's our approach. We want to use tons of positive reinforcement to reinforce the behaviors that we want. We want to use information that makes it clear to the dog so they understand what the expectation is or what we need them to do. We don't want to cause confusion, right? Because when our dogs, again, are confused, they're either not going to rely on us or they're going to make their own decision, and it may not be the best decision in that circumstance. Through the training process, just always remember our focus is on the human being, our focus is on the handler, our focus is on teaching you how to communicate with your dog and build that relationship up based on clear communication and trust. Any relationship that I've ever had, whether it be with a dog, a human being, another animal, it has to be based on communication as well as trust. If they don't trust us, why would they follow us? So I hope this gave you some good insight into the approach that we take when we're working with our dogs. And of course, please reach out if you have any questions at throughtheleash.com or to your local trainer.